Friday is day 5 of the New Zealand Four-Wheel Drive Association safaris in the centre of the South Island, based around Methven. Through the week, the organisers ran 2 trips each day, covering the same routes on alternate days. For our last day, we had the choice to continue on from where our group turned around yesterday, on the Wilberforce River, and travel to Urquhart's hut, which is reputably quite a challenging run. Or we could do an easy drive, back up the Harper River and then turn northwest up the Avoca River as far as Basins Hut. Due to the deteriorating weather, it was suggested that the Wilberforce would be too high due to the heavy rain in the mountains, raising the river to a dangerous speed and depth. So the decision was made to combine the 2 convoys into one and travel up the Avoca to Basins Hut for lunch. We retraced our route from yesterday up to Lake Coleridge on Harper Road to Harper Campsite to air down. We left the campsite and headed back up the Harper River over the windrows, built to divert more of the Harper River into the hydro storage in Lake Coleridge.
Man, it feels like yesterday when he came along here. Move unless you're really experienced bulldozer driver that can actually alter the blade at the same rate at which it's actually moving. Yeah, it's quite a skill.
Giro. Well, really, like, as he turned his wheel, you can see that he's shaking.
It was at this point that we turned west, away from the Harper River, to follow the true right of the Avoca River.
Look, we do this without asking.
On the back would actually be the best photograph.
Pardon?
On the back would actually be the best photograph of the mountain. You can actually see, see the end car, you know, so you get a good high def photograph. You sort of zoom in on the video and then you pull it back. Jump in the back. Seems to be a bit of a picky fan for some reason. Yeah, see, if you're looking really closely at the hut in the Google.
We crossed the Avoca River to follow the true left.
Yeah. I have had one. Yeah. Mind you, it's not raining now, and it's what's that now?
This one here marks the track where it goes into the useful if we actually get a bit sort of geotechnically embarrassed. There's a good track for you, Gareth. Just go straight up that one.
We were looking at it, we just trying to work out how anything was there. Where's the water coming to wash that down?
No, it was a Land Rover. Came off the top, was taking a bit of a shortcut back for lunch.
There's no oil running down the way. His rock system down on top of it. Spectacular, though, isn't it? Look at that, the water comes on there. There must be some sort of creek up at the top there.
I think it's such a thin veneer of soil on it that that top crevice has sort of collapsed and just dragged the whole hillside with it.
Has anybody done a count up and see what the most vehicles are on the truck? If it's a Toyota or a Mitsubishi or whatever?
I recently contacted the trip organiser, John McDonald, asking if he did have a number, but unfortunately he was only able to tell me that there was a total of 53 vehicles spread over 2 teams. No marquee information was captured. Suffice to say that the Land Rover brand was well represented across all models, with possibly Brett White's Discovery 4 being the newest, back to a Series 2A.
Yeah, good place to stop, bud.
There might be a general thing about Land Rovers, I'm not sure.
Make it quite
Heater on full. Turn your fence off.
yeah.
Nice big. Doubling in the left foot, don't you?
It's
Size doesn't actually, left ball can actually rather than running up the water with the mud tyres, so that it was all one inner tubes for it.
We again cross the Avoca back to the true right of the river. For anyone not familiar with the term, true right is the direction of the flow of the river, so looking down the river in the direction of the flow. We'll be following the right hand side but travelling upstream.
Do you want me to keep carrying on, taking on with the others, or do you want me to wait? We're about 3.5 k's from the hut now.
we've got about three. Hunters.
Pardon?
Like for hunters, not people start a war. It's not fair because you don't like it when those people on Land Rovers. Shit.
So we can just see you at the bluff going round. We're just meandering through the last part of the river, and there's a line, so we've got away behind it.
Olive oil statement, exactly. They're going down to there won't be snow now. I imagine in the snow in the valley. No, like a light.
Run out and go to the toilet.
Oh, well.
Gonna try and find a bit of a hill, Mike, are you?
Oh, this is definitely the new one.
It is.
We arrived at Basins Hut bang on lunchtime as the rain continued to fall. Across the river is the old Basins Hut, which was built in 1957 out of heavy-duty corrugated iron. After lunch, a few of the vehicles crossed Basin River to visit the old hut, but having been on the road for the last 7 days and the weather getting more miserable, Jen and I were happy to make our way back out to a hot shower and a cold beer in Methven.
Channel check on 34.
Receiving. Copy BT on 34.
Funnily enough, it hasn't been that cold.
Oh, there's Paul Curran. BPC0. Oh, said hello.
Who's Paul Curran?
This guy always travels with Ivan. This can't help himself.
Team Land Rover, this is Little Toot, Black Defender. I was just thinking when we get back and air up, we should group at one corner so you can have a Land Rover photo.
Good idea.
Sounds like a plan.
We trust you, including discos and Range Rovers.
Get out of the car and there's noise like drifting against.
Yeah, no, they're in it.
There'll be a Land Rover behind me.
Number plate, isn't it? CAC.
I often stop to either change camera batteries or capture photos for the channel, as well as for the New Zealand 4-Wheel Drive magazine, for which I've been a contributing writer for over 10 years. This trip was published in the November 2023 issue of the magazine.
Land Rover, you right? Yeah, no, we're fine.
I stopped to let a group of Land Rovers that were behind me pass, far more appropriate for this channel.
Yeah, receiving Stuart.
You better brush your hair, Brian. There's a man up here waiting for us.
Steve, we've called up. Good to go, when we'll head off.
About the same. Yeah. Or
Shelf. Let's go to the same price.
nice place to spend a week or so.
We crossed over the Avoca River to the true right for the last time, before heading out following the Harper River.
Yeah, well, that's the one where the downside was staying because they didn't want to pay too much.
It's a fitter and turner. Yeah. And enjoy it.
Years left to do that.
Back over the windrows again, used to slow the Harper River down for the Lake Coleridge hydro scheme. We stopped at the Harper camping ground to air our tyres back up and to capture the Land Rovers all lined up. The bonnets are up to gain access to the battery for the heavy compressor cables to be attached, not for any mechanical issues. Well, that was the last trip for the New Zealand 4-Wheel Drive Association meeting in Methven. Over the past 5 days we've covered around 800 kilometres and seen some spectacular scenery, so a big shout out to John McDonald and his team from the 4-Wheel Drive Association's Southern Zone. On Saturday morning the association organised a series of discussion groups covering health and safety, driver training, environmental accreditation, tracks of national significance, land access, relationships with local authorities, communications and social media, as well as regulations and governance. For the afternoon, a variety of self-drive tours or activities were arranged. Jen and I chose a jet boat trip up the Urquhart River, leaving just below the Gorge Bridge. There were supposed to be around 18 members on the trip, but only a few turned up, so I'm guessing that could be the reason why our $240 jet boat tour was a bit of a fizzer, as we hardly exited the gorge before turning back. Saturday night was the official dinner, with delegates and association executive. The position of national president was up for grabs, so there's a bit of politicking going on over drinks. Sunday morning was business time.
It's business time.
For the new incoming president, I asked a question on how he intended to grow the membership. Spoiler alert, I asked the same question the following year. By 2 p.m. all the executive positions have been voted in, and Jen and I hit the road to start our long journey north back to Auckland. We decided to break our journey up, so stayed the night at Kaikoura, which is about 3.5 hours drive north of Methven. From last night's sighting of a seal on the wrong side of the road, imagine hitting one of these units at 80 kilometres an hour.
Did you take a snap?
I did, I took a couple of snaps. fibre optic cable comes in for Telstra.
He said she's also doing.
From Kaikoura we continued north to Picton to catch the ferry across to Wellington and stayed the night at Paraparaumu. Tuesday morning dawned a clear, still day on the Kapiti coast, so we went for a quick walk up the beach and came across the perfect vehicle for those deep river crossings down south, albeit needing a bit of a wheel alignment.
See the angle the left front wheel's on?
From Kapiti it was a straight run up State Highway 1, back to home. We stopped off for a comfort stop and a cup of tea at Tangiwai. At 10:21 on Christmas Eve 1953, the Wellington-Auckland Night Express plunged into the flooded Whangaehu River at Tangiwai, 10 kilometres west of Wairau, when this bridge had been washed out by a laha from Mount Ruapehu. Of the 285 passengers and crew on board, 151 died in New Zealand's worst railway accident. There's no doubt that my 1994 Land Rover Discovery had taken a real beating on the boulder bash, and I was about to find out how much. As mentioned earlier, I chose to transport my mud tyres down to Methven and drove down on my highway tyres to save the treads. The first job was to drop out the carpets, which smelt like a wet dog. The Land Rover diff housings are very strong across the length of the axle, but their weak point is a differential face. A few years ago I smacked the front diff and pushed it in without impacting the crown wheel, so I built a 6mm thick bash plate across the front, but I didn't think I would impact the rear diff face. The soft rear diff face must have been hit as I rolled over some of the larger boulders in the rivers. Closer inspection of the rear diff housing showed signs of a leaking hub seal. The front and rear diff housings have raised air intakes, but the hubs are sealed. I would suggest that the hubs got hot on the way out to the first river crossing, where they were plunged into an ice-cold glacial river, sucking water and grit into the hubs, destroying the seals, bearings and stub axles. I had some issues removing the rear trailing arms, as the polybush spindle had seized on the securing bolt. I stripped the rear axle out, panel beated the dents out and built a 6mm bash plate to cover the soft diff face. I also replaced the A-bar ball joint on the top of the diff, the brake rotors and installed new brake calipers. I unbolt the sway bar when off-road to prevent it restricting the axle movement and inverting the knee joint and jamming. Just a few days later, the Land Rover was off on another mission bringing faster broadband to a rural location near you. And thanks for watching.